Hello, my name is Courtney James with Acuity Advisory Corp, and I'm here today with Sharyn Alexander, the president of Summit Minerals. Sharyn, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Courtney. Thanks for having me.
So I'm looking forward to chatting with you a little bit more today. I know that Sun Summit has put out some exciting news this week. But first, I just wanted to open up a little bit about you. So you were appointed the president of Sun Summit back in 2021. But on top of being the president of the company, you're also a geologist by training. Would you be able to give us a little background on yourself and your experience in this industry?
Sure. I've always had a love for nature and the outdoors, which led me to taking geology in university. I started out as a field geologist looking for kimberlites in Ontario. From then, I worked at the Acuity diamond mine in the Northwest Territories. That was my first exposure to underground work. From there, I moved to Australia and I worked at a Barrick gold mine, so both underground and on surface, doing near mine exploration. So I have quite a diverse field skill set. But from there, I moved into the office. I did more office-based work like GIS, geology, maps and cross sections, and as well as database management. So I have a pretty strong technical background. And then with the appointment of president at Sun Summit, I've been able to gain more experience into the corporate side of running a junior exploration company. So capital markets, raising money, investor relations, as well as corporate planning and strategy. So it's been really exciting to work with the group and help develop some of our assets as well as build shareholder value.
And so do you find that your experience as a geologist has really been able to help you shape your decision-making capabilities as Sun Summit's president?
Definitely. So with the operational side of things of the president role, I have in-depth technical background that I'm able to, already have an idea about how programs are planned and run, some of the problems that you could see or experience in the field, and ways to make the projects or the programs more efficient and effective. But then at the same time, with the corporate experience, as well as working with all the advisors and the different team members, putting together a really robust strategy for corporate development and really building the shareholder values both in the short term and in the long term.
Wow. Well, I know that investors and shareholders really appreciate and value your experience in both areas. And that will bring me to the news that you put out this week. So, you recently had a significant announcement with the signing of a definitive option agreement to acquire a 100% interest in the JD project in I actually never know how to say that word. I say it, Toodoggone?
Toodoggone. Yeah.
Toodoggone. Okay. And
It's
this
actually the name came about. It was too doggone far from anywhere.
that's where
So
it
that's
came from.
actually interesting. That'll tie into kind of the development that's going on in the region right now.
Two Dog Gone Far. Okay, the Toodoggone Gold and Copper District in BC. Can you walk us through the highlights of that project and the significance of that release?
Yeah, the JD project really represents a fantastic opportunity for the company and its shareholders. It's in a known mining district, but there's been quite a lot of historic work already done, so we can really hit the ground running. The project is characterized by high-grade epithermal gold and silver, so we see a lot of mineralization like that. It's been confirmed through various drill programs as well as surface sampling, but there's also the potential for porphyry copper gold. And so it's a great opportunity to explore for both mineralization styles. Most likely these are related. In some of the more advanced targets on the property, we're seeing some very significant near surface gold and silver results in drill samples as well. There's a very strong discovery potential. So in areas that have not been drill tested, we're seeing some pretty spectacular gold and silver in soil and rock samples. So there's a lot of discovery potential, a lot of upside. Millions of dollars have already been spent in the ground here. And so we can really hit the ground running in terms of exploration planning and strategy.
And how did this opportunity come to your attention?
Yeah, our former CEO and founder of Sun Summit, Bob Willis, and our technical advisor, Chris Leslie, they're always talking about different projects, and they're always on the lookout for new opportunities. So, and actually, Chris had worked this project in the 2010s, so he has quite a lot of boots on ground experience as well. When it came up for option, that's when it was brought to our attention in terms of myself and the executive chairman, Brian Locke. And we felt that it was definitely something that we should bid on. It was a competitive process. There were other groups that were interested in this project. But in the end, I believe our strong technical background in terms of Chris's experience, as well as our desire to advance the targets, won out. And so we're very lucky to have optioned this project. We've just signed the definitive agreement, as the news release stated. There's a few other steps involved, but we're really excited to get going. The Toodoggone is an up and coming area. It's much less explored than other regions in BC. So for example, in the Golden Triangle, that's seen a lot more exploration than the Toodoggone. That's changing, though. We've seen a lot of interest in this region recently. I'm sure you've heard of the Thesis Gold and Benchmark merger, which happened last year. And so now Thesis Gold owns both the Ranch and Lawyers projects. These are gold and copper. TDG Gold is in the area, Skeena, HDI Amark. And then, of course, this is just north of the established Kemess mining camp. So the infrastructure from that mine is still in place as well. Just to note, though, we're not looking to step away from our current project, Buck. That is definitely something that we're interested in and we can talk about. We have quite a lot of exciting things upcoming at the project. And so, but this option agreement adds to the diversity of our project portfolio.
And so when will you be able to begin exploration at the JD project?
So we're currently reviewing and compiling existing data sets. There's quite a lot of data, and we want to make sure that we have a good handle on the type of data that we have, validating that, as well as sourcing new data that perhaps we're missing. So we really need that in order to plan a robust exploration program. Also, we're going to be doing a lot of work ranking and prioritizing those targets. And so we're thinking of getting on site at this point, probably in the early summer, to start our first exploration campaign. We don't know the specifics yet, of course, but it'll most likely consist of some drilling, some mapping and prospecting, surface sampling, and perhaps some geophysics. So as the technical team continues to go through the data sets and compile and plan our exploration strategy, we'll be able to share those updates with the market as we know.
Okay, and I know earlier you mentioned that you're still focusing on the Buck Main project. How do you plan to divide your time between this new JD project and then the current Buck Main project?
Yeah, so we did mention at Buck Main that we're doing an initial mineral resource estimate. So this is pretty exciting. We optioned Buck in 2019. We started our first drill campaign in 2020. And since then, we've drilled 98 drill holes for just under 35,000 meters. We've also done extensive geological modeling and compilation work. So it's exciting to see what the initial resource will tell us. From there, we'll be able to identify gaps in some of the drilling and put together some future drill programs, which could lead to an expansion of the initial MRE. So there's definitely some work yet to do at Buck. In addition, we acquired the CR project from Teck last June. And so in the CR and Mount Maurice area on the western edges of the Buck project, that's something we'd like to return to this summer as well. So when we think of Buck, it definitely has more infrastructure in place than JD up in the Toodoggone. So we'll be able to divide our time probably by spending some time at Buck on the off and shoulder seasons, and then doing a lot of the work at JD in the summer while we can set up camp and do some logistics planning and setting that camp up for future 12-month use. Currently, it'll just most likely be summer. So we are still planning the exploration program that we'll be doing, but we'll be bringing on a lot of contractors and probably a lot of new technical staff in order to help. But we're looking forward to working both projects, and doing so, I think will really help bring the company to a new point and have a diverse set of assets that will lead to more regular news flow as well.
The trajectory for Sun Summit is looking incredibly exciting as we continue to head into 2024. Can you discuss some of the key catalysts that investors can look forward to in the next 3 to 6 months here?
The initial resource estimate for Buck Main is something that is definitely an exciting catalyst and milestone for the company. We expect those results back this quarter. And so from then, we'll be able to plan additional drilling at Buck Main. And so that would lead to most likely in the second quarter, some drilling at Buck Main to help fill in some of those gaps, as well as do some step out drilling to perhaps enlarge the resource that we do calculate. As well, there's other targets at the Buck project that we'd like to follow up on. So our exploration programs this year will hopefully be able to develop some drill targets, and then we'll start drilling this year at CR and Mount Maurice. And then as well, the results of the data compilation at JD in terms of ranking and prioritizing some of these targets. We'll be developing a pretty robust exploration program. And yeah, we'll have more news out to the market as we plan and develop. So yeah, stay tuned. There's going to be quite a lot of exciting news. We have a pretty active season in terms of conferences. We'll be at the VRIC conference in Vancouver. We plan to be in Toronto around PDAC. And so, yeah, those that are interested, please reach out, social media, email, phone, and come to one of our booths at these conferences, and we'll be happy to chat.